I was on mute. Good start, as always. Good evening, everyone. Game week 9 has come to a close in quite the abrupt fashion. I'm sure we'll get into talking about that all in just a moment. Let me know who is watching. Let me know how you got on this game week. We will, of course, get in to discuss all of game week 9, game week 10, everything like that, and move onwards to see what else we could potentially do. My team is up on screen at the moment. Of course, saved by Salah captain and Trent today. The rest of my team has been pretty dreadful. Any of you guys who follow me on Twitter will know that it's not been the best of game weeks for me. So I am on a 75 with a -4 before bonus points. Fine return for them. The rest of my team, as I said, outside of it, Salah was so highly captained that it did good for my rank, but obviously not so high as it could have done potentially. Anyone who, has their captaincy armband on someone else, I feel for you. It will be a very tough week and your rank will take a hefty hit. Try not to let it impact you as much as maybe it could. Have a week off, come back to it refreshed at the end of next week, looking at your team. These things happen. No one expected Salah to score as highly as he did and others not to score as highly as they did. So, yeah, it's tough. If you ever want to chat about it, my DMs are always open, but we will dive in and talk about the game week and everything like that. All of the usual bits and pieces. So let's say hello to some of you guys watching. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you are all well. So who have we got in here this evening? If you could just leave a like on the stream as well as we get started, that would be great. Phantom, Priyan, Nanduk, Ashrith, Sithi, Football Zen, Samuli, Doom Switched, Shubakran, Akgunsar, Joni, Stay Gold, Holly, how are we doing? Welcome, Stephen, Ashrith, welcome everyone. Good to see so many of you guys in already. Let me know how you got on. I did have a good holiday. I got back yesterday evening, so I thought, while I am, I haven't streamed for a while. Videos were a bit different last week, so I thought I'd jump on after that game and do this. Cynthia said, you wouldn't be surprised, Ole. You'd be surprised. You won't be surprised if Ole doesn't get sacked. Interesting. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't go after a result like that. It's not been as they wanted it to for this season. Parts of last season, not winning the Europa League. If the talks and the rumours of Antonio Conte potentially wanting the job are as real and as hard as maybe some of those rumours are intending and are implying that they are, then I don't see it not happening, and I don't see it not happening very soon after a result like that. They have 2 fixtures now against Liverpool and against Manchester City in the next 2 Premier League games, and then a Champions League game in amongst that, which again they will need to win against Atalanta. So yeah, I just don't see him not going. I really don't. The next 3 games, excluding the Cup, 4 games if you include it, are massive for them and they need to pick up some points. If they lose to Spurs and they lose to City and they lose in the Champions League, for example, then it's pretty hard to see them bouncing back like this season from it. So I don't necessarily see why they'd wait until after those games and risk losing, all of them. So I see him being sacked probably over the next couple of days, if not tomorrow. So, hi everyone. Good to see some of you in, some new faces, some old faces. Thomas Madden, you're on 102 all out. Great game week. Very nice. Massive green arrow for you, I can imagine. Very good score. Everyone basically got Salah, so 90 is the average score. Well, this is the thing. I'm on 75, but I go up to more than that after. Let me just refresh my rank. I go up to more of it after I get my subs and the captaincy. So I'm on 83. How does that work? Surely I'm going to go up to more than 83. But it puts me up to 113k. Like, I'm still on a red arrow from 93k down to 113k. I did take a -4, which just have a large impact of it. I get 87. There it is. I still don't. 7 off the bench. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, 87. So I still, I'm on a red arrow. Captain Salah for his 48, but the rest of my team didn't do nearly enough. Trent getting 1 bonus there, which was good. Any of you guys who had Livramento in your team, any of you guys who went, outside of Havertz and Rudiger for Chelsea, you will have done really well. The Reece Jameses, the Ben Chilwell, if you've got Mount in your team as well, you will be sitting on a very nice score this week indeed. Let me know in the comments how many points you are on, how your game week has gone so far, what you're on. You still have Lukaku. Do you put in Jimenez, Jesus or Aubameyang in his place? Some good fixtures. Aubameyang, I just don't see being particularly explosive at the moment. I would probably be going Jimenez. I'd probably be going Jesus. I quite like him short term as a punt. If Antonio hadn't have scored today, I may well have been jumping on him today. Not today, this game week. But I don't think I will. So, yeah. Joni got 95 points. Again, nice green arrow. Thomas Ross is on 125, which would be incredible. Amazing game week. Congratulations on that. You transferred Jota out from Brumo instead of Alonso out. Payne, but still 94. 94 is still a green arrow. It will still be a nice rank boost for you, so can't complain at that. 94 again, 107. Didn't captain Salah, went with Havertz. Nicholas, as I said at the start, there will be teams that don't have Salah captain, and it will hurt your rank this week. It is what it is. Trying to predict Salah scoring 3 goals and getting an assist in a 5-0 win for Liverpool over United is just not something that anyone saw coming. The captaincy between Havertz and Salah was very minimal. If anything, Havertz was probably a better captaincy on paper going into this game week. So don't let it get you down. Do your best to sort of come back from it next week. It's easier for me to say with my armband on Salah. But of course, if you ever want to chat about your team or just how, it's impacting you, drop me a DM. My DMs on Twitter are always open for that sort of stuff. You did Jota for Son for a -4. Again, selling Jota this week, it was a very reasonable thing to do. There was no part of you that probably thought he was going to start in the first place, given the form that Firmino was in. He hasn't played out wide, I don't think, all season. I'm pretty sure this was the first game he's done it all season. So it is what it is with him. Again, don't beat yourself up about it. 3 weeks ago, you planned to not get Lukaku and go Salah captain this week, but for some reason jumped on Havertz captain for a -4 because it felt like an opportunity. Stick to your plan. Yeah, that's one of those things. You'll kick yourself when it's something like that. So, but Havertz at home to Norwich, Chelsea put 5 past them. The score lines were the same, in theory, and one was much more predictable than the other. But Havertz got nothing in it, and Salah was involved in 4 of the 5 goals. So, yeah, it's a tough one to take, I can grant you. Livramento on some of your benches as well. Again, difficult to take. Definitely difficult to take, but these things do happen. In terms of the other games, Arsenal 3-1. Villa looked dreadful. They changed their system towards the end of their game and looked much better. I think we'll see Villa going to a back 4 from now on. The likes of Leon Bailey will probably continue to start now. And with their run of fixtures that they've got over the coming weeks, I think he might be a half-decent option to go with. I'm definitely looking at him for my team. So, yeah, Villa's one to look on. Arsenal, if you've got Saka, if you've got Smith Rowe, well done. Saka, a bit unlucky that the points didn't go to him, but is what it is. Chelsea, 7-0. Again, if you've got Havertz in your team, unlucky. I have Havertz. I brought him in from -4 this week, and I mentioned benching Hwang Hee-chan this week. It's a lot of points down the drain, but again, it is what it is. If you've gone for Reece James in defence, if you've gone for Chilwell in defence, very well done. Mount, of course, anyone who's got Mount for his hat-trick, very nice points. Do I think Rafinha should be kept? Much better options for less money, and he's locked. And he's knocked. I am starting to wonder what we do with Salah, to do with Rafinha. I'm not loving him in my team at the moment. It's a bit of a concern for me, if I'm honest. He's not exactly getting the returns he wants. With Bamford being out, that Leeds team don't look as great going forward as they have done. So it's a bit of a concern. I'm not selling him now. We'll wait and see if we get any news on whether he's going to be back for game week 10 for Norwich, because of course that's a fixture we're all looking to target at the moment. So wait and see what happens on that. But do I think Havertz will start versus Newcastle? Yeah, I don't see anyone else starting and playing in his role. No, so I see Havertz starting. You've got Kane playing Man U tomorrow, looking really good after their performance today. Man U playing next week. Yeah, again, the Spurs assets like at home to United next week, but they may have a new manager in place. There may be a complete change. Like if Antonio Conte comes in, he goes to a 5 at the back straight away. But then, Lindelof, Varane, Maguire back 3, and then Shaw with Wan-Bissaka out. Still not world-class defence, is it? A back 5 is always going to benefit the defence. So once that United fixture swing comes, if they're playing a back 5 with Luke Shaw at wing back, then he could be a great option. But yeah, if you've got Spurs players in for your team next week, then it's really nice. How many points did I score? I will be on, after auto subs and after bonus, a 86 with a -4. So an 82, which gives me a small red arrow this week. So slightly down from where I was to just outside, probably 115k, I think is where live FPL is sort of estimating me to be. Of course it's down because half of the game are probably trying to check that rank at the moment. But sell Vardy for Firmino. I wouldn't, again, wait on the news on Vardy's injury, whether he's going to be back for next week, whether he's not. I wouldn't go doing that particularly straight away. If Vardy's going to be back, I wouldn't do it, but wait and see on it. There's always a case that we get next week, Jota, Mane, Salah, and Firmino drops out. It feels like those 3 in Mane, Jota, Firmino are all now going to be playing for 2 spaces in that team, and Salah will just be a mainstay on the right wing. 104 points, 37k worldwide with no Chelsea players as he was dropped, buzzing. Yeah, not having any Chelsea players will have impacted you a little bit, but probably not as much as potentially it could have done. A lot of the more explosive ones are maybe slightly less highly owned, like Reece James, his ownership's not as high. Mason Mount, it's probably not impacted you as much as maybe you thought it would. But very nice, 104 points. Havertz to Son and Rafinha to Mount, game week 10 moves done. Perma captain Salah. Fair enough. I don't love those moves, if I'm in all honesty. I think they'll be good long term. Havertz, in theory, Havertz to Mount feels a bit sideways. Don't necessarily think it was necessarily needing a transfer, but if you need the money to upgrade Rafinha to Son, then I can understand why. Perma captain on Salah is very much. I will struggle to see how Salah will have less than 195% ownership next week, if not more. 195 to 200. It could even get to the point where it's above 200 because there's triple captains in play. But I see it going to the point where what Salah does next week is completely irrelevant for our teams and completely irrelevant for our ranks. So, yeah. That is what it is. but the rest of your team's going to have to do the talking next week. Salah's getting to the point where it's going to be very null having him in your team. I'm very happy still having Havertz in there. Yeah, so Rafinha's in my team. He's on the bench there at the moment. He'd, of course, start if he was fit against Norwich. But, yeah, it's tough looking at it because he's one of those players that always looks so good when you watch him in game, but never returns the FPL points that he really should. And he did it last season as well. He never got double-digit returns. He's never really exploded. He's looked great, but others are not finishing the chances that he's creating. So if he's out, then... Because I'm going to be wildcarding in 2 weeks' time anyway. I think. Because... I mean, in theory, I could end up not, but that's when the Spurs fixture run comes. I could try and get a Spurs player in, like Havertz to Son with the money I've got in the bank now is very easy. I could be doing, I could be fiddling around with the midfield. Like this week, like Hwang Hee-chan is fine at the moment. Rudiger to Chilwell, something I really want to do though. Like Ailing to Livramento, again, these are like transfers that I'm not going to make unless I play my wild card. And this is, yeah, I want to do Rudiger to Chilwell, Ailing to Livramento. Two of the big moves which are kind of forcing me to play my wild card, maybe slightly earlier than I wanted to. But Havertz upgrade to Son around that time. I can change Saar, I can change Benrahma, I can change other things if I want. Like I can change what I want in goal. But why not do Saar to Son? Like I could do Saar to Son this week. I could do that. But I really like... I think I can do that. But like, is bringing in Son before United at home the best transfer that I could make? Is it the best place for me to be using a transfer? Probably not. Probably not. Especially like if I do that, then I'm basically saying I'm not wildcarding game week 12. And Livramento's doing my head in, not owning him every week and him scoring points. But we'll wait and see. I could do that this week and have this team and play a sort of 3-4-3. Benrahma again is one that I'm not a fan of. Benrahma to like Mbuemo, definitely feel like doing it. But I don't know why he was taken off. There's no hint that he got injured. I think he was just changing something slightly. That didn't particularly work because they went and lost the game, didn't they? So, I unless it's an injury, I expect him to come back into the team. You feel like quitting this game? I finally made the top 10 only to have Captain Salah at my rank. Really looking for motivation to keep playing. Tech, I can completely understand that. If I was in the situation where I hadn't captained Salah, it would be a tough week. Like, drop me a DM on Twitter and I'll happily, like, just chat to you about it. Have a few days off. Don't look at your team until Thursday next week, Friday next week. Just have some time off. Come back to it refreshed, looking at the next game week. There was a video that Gianni on Twitter, I retweeted. Go and check that out. Go and give it a watch. It's about this game needs to be fun for us all. And if it's not being fun for you, then either you need to find ways like to make it fun, find ways to switch off, or like take yourself away from it when things are not going quite as well as you hope they are. So yeah, I can imagine it's a tough one. It's definitely going to be a tough one to take. Havertz to Foden. Would I do Havertz to Foden? Probably not. I probably wouldn't go and do those two transfers. I just keep Havertz. The next two fixtures for Chelsea are still good, and Havertz can still get points in those. If we could just drop a like on the stream, guys. We are 90 of you watching and only 24 likes, so it would be really appreciated if we could get it up to 50 or so. Please don't leave it for someone else, is what I always say. You were 28 points before today's game. Well, exactly. I was on, I think the same, maybe 30. And now I'm up to, I was on a red arrow to 200k from 95k. And I'm now at 115, 120k. Post it. Daniel, how are we doing? Antonio, completely, yeah. I was very happy for him to get his points. I started Ben Rama as well. Didn't work out. Should have played Hwangi Chan over him. But that is what it is. That is what it is. But, yeah. How much did you get, Yusuf? Let me know. 100? Over 100? Marathon, not a sprint. The game is a marathon, not a sprint. But for people who didn't captain Salah this week, it can feel like you've lost the sprint. Christensen out for Rudiger or Chilwell. I'd be going Chilwell now. If I was looking to bring in a Chelsea defender, Chilwell would be the one that I'd be going for, that I'd be looking to go and bring in. That would be the plan that I would have. So Maximin and Saka to Tony and Foden. Yeah, I quite like those. I do quite like those transfers. FPL Dream brought Havertz in from -4 and take captaincy off Salah to Havertz. Yeah. Again, that must be a tough pill to swallow. If you've got a week off, like, do your best to switch off. Like, I can imagine that for me, if I had that been me, I would be very down. Like, I wouldn't be streaming now for sure. So, yeah, just feel free to drop me a DM. Like, they're all open on Twitter if you feel like, you know, oh, is this the game for me and things like that. There are a few of you in here who captain Havertz, and I don't blame you for it. It was definitely something that crossed my mind. I didn't do it, but is Chilwell nailed? So the thing about Chilwell is that I think he'll start 75% of games, and when he doesn't play, he never comes on as a substitute. So that's quite a big thing for owning Chilwell, is that if you've got the likes of Livramento on your bench, then there's, you know, it's absolutely fine that he doesn't play every week. Because, you know, if I wildcard this week, or let's say I wildcarded, my defense would have something like this, but I'll make it smaller while I do this. And then I'd have Chilwell. I'd also have Livramento in there. So, like, if you played a back three with this, Chilwell, Trent, Cancelo, and you had two Livramento and White, then yeah. Magic Master Tricks. Could you make more membership tiers? Of course. Would you be interested in higher tiers or lower tiers? As in, the one at the moment is a $1.99 tier. Would you be interested in a higher tier with more benefits or a lower tier with less? There is going to be a members benefit for a higher tier, which is like team reveals and, you know, transfers when I make them. So if I'm lying in bed on a Tuesday and there's a price change, I will put to that members tier, like, I've made this transfer. If there's going to be a price change, things like that, I know there are people that look at my team, so something like that I think is probably coming. But if there's benefits or things that you guys would be interested from the memberships that would, like, encourage you, or you'd be interested in, that might make you join in, then great. Lower tier, yeah, I mean, I can. The lowest is $1.99 at the moment, a month. I could put it to one at 99p. I could do that. I'll have a think. I recommend bringing in Liverpool, Southampton's new striker formation means he's getting ahead more. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go and get Livramento in at some point. I'm sure some of you guys have got him in your team at the moment, and not having him is definitely painful for me. Not having him definitely is. You guys must all be owning him, I'm sure, by now. Bench Livramento and had no Chelsea, but ended on 94 points and into the top 100k. Very nice, Daniel. I am sadly gone slightly the other way because of my -4, basically. If I didn't take a -4 this week, I think I'm on a flat arrow. So that's okay. I don't mind that. Basically a grey arrow until I play my wildcard. Basically what I said is if I can be in the top 100k, see 113k, down 20k from 93 this week, absolutely fine. Happy enough with that. Basically, if I'd have done anything differently, I would have been on a grey arrow. It's just one of those weeks. Like, I benched Hwang Chan. If I'd have played him over Rafinha, Sarr, Tony, or Benrahma, then yeah, absolutely, all would have been fine, and I would have been on a green arrow. So these things happen. Should you take Sarr out and Smith Rowe out? I probably would. I am slightly concerned by Sarr now, given how good they looked when he came off, and they were goals that I don't think they probably would have scored, or they wouldn't have looked as great with him having played how he had in that match. So I'm a bit concerned by him. I don't think he's necessarily a sell this week. If you want to keep him for Southampton at home, then you can. But from game week 11, Arsenal, United, Leicester, Chelsea, City, then Brentford away, Burnley away. Sarr's time in our teams is up. Before game week 10, if not, then definitely after. Should you take Grealish out for Foden? Should you take Grealish out for Foden? My worry is that he's not going to play next week, because they then play a big Champions League game midweek, and then they play the Manchester derby the following weekend. So it would make sense to potentially bench him next week against Palace. Just wait later in the week if we get any indication on whether he's going to be benched against Palace and who's going to play that week. That would be my concern. How about Kane and Son double up next week versus United? I think that's a bit of overkill. I think that's going a bit too reactionary based on this week. I wouldn't go doubling up. If you want to bring in one, I'd be going Son. He's looked better recently. He's cheaper as well. I'd be going Son before I went Kane. One of them is fine. Whether you need both, I probably wouldn't want both. But get Mbeumo in for Brentford has some good fixtures. So that was the plan. Either Sarr... Well, actually, I was probably going to sell Benrahma this week. What did Sam get, Daniel? What did Sam get? She captained Kane, didn't she? I think. Well, should you do Tony in for Vardy or Foden in for Rafinha? Again, wait on the injury news on Vardy and Rafinha in that, because I think that will probably make up your mind. I think one of them will probably be okay, and then do the other transfer. If they're both fine, then I'd probably do Foden in first. If they're both out, then I suppose Vardy to Tony frees up more money. Again, it might depend on the length of the injuries. Oh, okay, I don't know why I thought I saw Lee post that she captained. Fair. It must have changed since I saw the photo. Yeah, she did. Captain Kane, Vice on. Captained Salah, Vice on Kane. Fair enough. Should you do... You got hundreds. You got 75 points, good or bad. It's probably a small red arrow. It's not anything bad at all. Nothing to worry about for sure. So I wouldn't worry about 75. I've got just above you, I think about 78, and I'm on a small red arrow. So yeah, nothing wrong completely with that. Your team ID. Feel free, guys, if you have questions about your teams, of course, DM me on Twitter and I will, of course, go and answer them. Am I considering a wild card this week? No, I'm not. I don't look at my team and think we need a wild card. I've got one free transfer. I don't like Sanchez, of course, but I don't think it's where my transfer will be used. Defense looks great if they all start. Of course, if they don't, then I've got White away at Leicester to come off my bench. If only Ayling was available to play, then he'd be in. But midfield looks fine and forward line looks fine. Like, it's quite plausible that I've got them all to come in. Lamptey looked good when he come on, big differential. So Lamptey's definitely one I'm looking at. If I was to wildcard now, would I go with Lamptey? Quite possibly. 4.4. He's come on as a sub. He might not start Liverpool away as his first start, but from Newcastle, I'd expect him to be back in the team. So if I wildcarded, it would probably be, do I go... I basically have to find another cheap option in... defence. What game week does Christmas fall on? Because that's when there's going to be loads of fixtures. This sort of game week 18, 19, 20, 21... If you can, if any of you are like bringing in players to sit on your bench now, try and find ones that have a good run of fixtures from like game week 16 to 21, because that's when there's going to be the biggest rotation that we're going to need for our benches. Like, they play twice a week, like Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, then they have a week off and it's Christmas. Sunday, Tuesday, weekend, midweek, weekend, midweek, weekend. It's a lot of matches, so definitely worth having a look at who has, 16 to 21. So we have a look at who has, let me just hide that a sec and I will get up Fantasy Football Hub and we will have a look at who has got the best fixtures from game week 16 to 21, who potentially could be our options on wildcard. So, game week 16 to 21. Crystal Palace have a nice run of fixtures. Man U, of course, West Ham, Arsenal, Watford, we're not going to want. Arsenal is okay. Like, I could own one of their cheap guys on the bench. The issue is Southampton's is difficult. But again, it's like finding two defenders that rotate well, that have a nice run of fixtures. So again, we can have a look at that closer to the time. But if I send my team on Twitter, yeah, my DMs are open always for questions and things like that. Please update about Rafinha and Vardy. Sorry, I was slightly distracted. Rafinha and Vardy, we don't know anything on them yet. Rafinha posted on social media that he's fine, that it was nothing serious. So how long will he be out for? We don't know. We don't know that yet. When am I planning on wildcarding? I mean, game week 12, but I may see if there's a way I can hold it. But these little things on my bench, I just think it'll be game week 12. Do I think Chaël is the best Chelsea defender option? Yes, I do. And I think Mbeumo is still a good option. I just think, I don't quite know why he took him off, to be honest. But I think he'll be wanting to come back into the team pretty soon. They didn't look that great, I don't think, once he came off. But yeah, I would definitely be going with with Chilwell as my Chelsea defender. Anyway, I was just coming on to do a quick stream to discuss how the game week has gone and everything like that. I will, of course, be back with the usual stuff all during this week. I hope you've enjoyed this very quick stream. Have a nice rest of your Sunday evening, all, and I will see you all very soon.